to Wolverine Women. We are here with Michigan assistant hockey coach Jeff Tambellini, also an ex-NHL player, also an ex-international hockey player. It's a big day on set. So you have a big hockey family, big hockey background. Your dad was a hockey player as well. So how has he influenced you?
Well, I actually had a grandfather as well who was a national player, and so the lineage goes way back. So it's just kind of what our family did. And I grew up in a hockey family, moved to Switzerland and Austria when I was a kid. So you learn pretty fast how the lifestyle is going to work. And I was just fortunate to grow up kind of following him to the rink and learned to love the game by about 7. And I had a pretty clear path from that age on.
So when you were playing, were there a lot of criticisms? Was he ever very hard on you?
No, he was the opposite of what you think a hockey dad would be, and I was fortunate to have that because not always the case today. But he was great. He just wanted me to have fun, and he helped me more with the decision process when I was deciding to come to college or play major junior and contract stuff throughout my pro career. But as a father, he was always supportive.
Was there a specific moment when you were younger that you're like, this is what I'm going to do, that you can remember, or a story?
I was 7 years old, and I always say it's hard because everybody, as they grow up, they try and figure out what they want to do, and not many 7-year-olds know exactly what their life path is going to be. So I was fortunate to have that. I was in Vancouver, and Vancouver hockey had really been picking up, and my father was in management at that time, and I kind of knew what I wanted to be as a player, and then I wanted to do as a post-career, and so far so good. So definitely fortunate to have that.
And you came back home and you played in Vancouver. What was that like playing for your home team?
Oh, that was wild. Just because the hype around that team was it was out of control. It was my first year being a free agent, and they actually called 2 days before free agency, which I didn't even know I had a loophole in, and asked me if I wanted to sign with their team. And I didn't think they had any bit of a hole in their roster. And before I knew it, I was on a cup contending team, and it was an amazing year because we were the President's Trophy champions, Western Conference champions, and like I always say to people, we were the Stanley Cup champions until the day we lost it. So it was a great ride, though.
So the NHL playoffs are coming up. You're a big part of that, as you were saying. What was it like to be in that game, Game 7?
It was, honest to God, I think people were more nervous in Vancouver than I was. We're so focused on trying to play the game, but I remember the messages that were coming into my phone and friends begging us to win, and it was an amazing experience. I think what happened after the game was more wild than the actual game, but to have the city get lit on fire pretty much and drive back into it at 2 a.m. when they reopened some of the bridges, it looked like a bomb had gone off in the city, and we realized that it's because we lost the hockey game, but. It was a wild experience. It was an amazing season, and just a great part to be a part of.
Now in hockey, there's been a trend that it's more of a speed game, more of a skill game now than it was before. You are known to be a good skater, clearly, but do you think you would fit better into the NHL game today than you would when you did play?
It's funny. People always ask me that, and I'm actually the opposite because I built my game to play in the old game. Where there's more hooking and slashing, and it was harder to play. You had to go through more to score goals, and I never was built in the young skill game where these young guys they're so talented and they work on their individual skills so much, and I had to really transition that in the middle of my career along with every guy my age and above, just because that's not how we grew up. So I always thought I would have done better if the rules had stayed the same, but I think it's great for the game what they've done, and definitely more exciting for the fans. And
you played, I'm sure, with a lot of fighters. Do you have a favorite one that you played with?
Oh my God, there's a long list of guys, and it's amazing how tough these guys are. And I had a great teammate, Tanner Glass. He plays a Dartmouth guy, and we were teammates in Vancouver together. And just all the guys I played with, just the character it takes to play the game and then have to do that job of fighting every night is. I don't wish it upon anybody, but. The price these guys pay physically to do their job and be a part of the NHL, it's an amazing price, and we're fortunate to have those guys.
Now you're back here at Michigan. You're studying sport management, senior year about to finish up. Are you the same student you were when you were here before?
No, I'm way older. So no, it's been a wild transition. it kind of came out of nowhere. Like I wasn't planning on doing this, and kind of got a phone call, and before I knew it, I was retired and in sports management 313, and it happened really fast. So it's been a great experience. Definitely have more context on accounting now that I had 12 years of earning $1. It didn't make a lot of sense the first time when I hadn't made $1 in the game. But it's great when you have, like I said, context of what you're learning, and for me, it's valuable. And I knew I wanted to go into the management of hockey after, so I tried to pay attention so that I could come back and get something out of my degree. But yeah, it's been an enjoyable year for sure.
And then when you played here at Michigan, I saw a picture of Nico Prikos when he was younger. He looked up to you, and now you're coaching him, and I'm sure other players that looked up to you as well.
Yeah.
What is that relationship like?
Well, he's 4 inches taller than me, so now I'm looking up to him. But talk about a great kid who I met when he was probably 8, 9, 10, and just loved Michigan hockey. I was so fortunate to have his family be a big part of my life, and they raised a great kid. And to have, this year alongside him, I think was probably the most exciting thing. I think he thought it was pretty cool when we found out we were going to graduate together and walk at the same time. So he's been a buddy of mine from day one, and just so excited that I could go through this path with him.
And being back in Ann Arbor, what were you most excited for, whether it's a restaurant or a place to go? Or
there's a lot of things, and it's funny. There's a lot of things that changed when I came back, and there's a lot of things that really stayed the same. So the pregame meal at Cottage Inn is something that I thought might have evolved and changed, but since this is Michigan, so full of tradition, we didn't even tweak that. So that was kind of a staple, and it's weird when you eat foods that you're so familiar with, especially around hockey. It snapped me back right into game mode the first time I saw it. So a little thing, but very fortunate it's still kicking around.
Do you think that's a superstitious thing?
Yeah, we're nuts. We're nuts when it comes to superstition. So there's a lot of things that trigger some pretty cool emotions, and just being back on campus, it snaps me back into being an 18-year-old kid again. But since I'm in class with 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds, it's pretty much the same thing. So
awesome. Thank you so much, and welcome back to Ann Arbor.
Well, thanks for having me.